Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm looking quite crazy, so welcome if you're new here. Please don't let this scare you away. I am today going to be trying out the new Tati Beauty Blendiful. I purchased this on launch day and I know you guys have been requesting it, so I got it in the mail. I'm excited. I'm going to see what I think, give you my opinions, see if we really see a difference. I'm gonna zoom you in, see if our pores are erased, which is what I'm seeing a lot in reviews. So we will just kind of dive in head first and see my thoughts. If you're new here, please subscribe. I do a ton of trying new makeup, hauls, first impressions, reviews, and let's go ahead and jump into this review. Okay, so this was $18. This is the packaging it comes in. I have not even opened it yet because I wanted to do everything on camera first impression wise. So $18 with shipping, I think was $2.95, and I believe with everything it was like $23 to get it here. I think it took 7 days if I'm not mistaken, so about a week from ordering it. Now I am in the Midwest, so I'm not in California or somewhere close to where it ships from. So it comes in this packaging. It says cleaning instructions: machine wash and dry in a delicate laundry bag or gently hand wash with warm soapy water, rinse, blot dry. Cruelty free, vegan, and made in China. So this is supposed to be kind of your all-in-one complexion product. So in here you get the Blendiful and then you also get the Baby Blendiful. So I guess let's just go ahead and open it up and see what we think. So the first thing I see is the Baby Blendiful. It's shaped like a heart. It does have a little ribbon here, so of course if you want to hold it like this is supposed to be a touch-up product from what I've seen. So this is kind of when you're out, maybe you need to blot, maybe you've got a little bit oily. This is the product. It feels, I don't know how to describe it. It does feel interesting. It has a really soft texture, but again, not something that I can think of like in the makeup realm. So I'm interested to try that out. And then of course we have the big Tati Beauty Blendiful. So it is quite big, which I do like. I've been seeing you can get a lot done. You can also move the ribbon on the other side of the puff and use both sides. So you can use both sides. I think I might try that today. We'll see. It's definitely softer than the small one. The small one has a little bit of a firmness to it. The big one is, you know, bendable and very soft. Feels a little bit weird in the hand. I'm not gonna lie. I'm used to, you know, Beauty Blender or sponge. So we're gonna give this a go. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. We're gonna start with primer. She did say to use a pore filling primer with this, which is what I use anyway. So that's what we're gonna begin with, and we'll see if we like it or not. I look so crazy with my eyes and my brows done and not my face. It's actually alarming. I'm like, let's get some foundation on. So I'm starting off with this Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer. This is one of my go-to primers for pores. I honestly have no idea how I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna start off, I think, I literally don't even know. I think I'm gonna start off with a corner over here and just kind of, oh, that's a lot. See, this is weird, like dunk in and get some of the product on the actual Blendiful and just apply. So I've seen people swipe, I've seen people, what's the word, stipple. I really don't think it matters. I think you do whatever works for you. So this is really soft. It doesn't feel as awkward as I thought it was gonna feel upon first impression. I find it a little bit awkward to get, you know, the right amount out of the jar just because I'm not used to using a product like this. So I think I almost got a little too much there. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this. I'm gonna have to be careful around my brows. This is why I typically do my foundation first. I just prefer it. So I feel like it applied it nicely. I mean, I feel like it's kind of blurred the skin. It's done its job. We'll have to see how foundation lays, but it applied nicely. When I'm looking at the sponge, this is where I had the primer, so it doesn't look like there's too much residue. I'm gonna use a foundation I love that I know works well. I know what it looks like, so I wanna see how it applies with this. I'm gonna use my Tarte Face Tape. I really like this. I have the shade 29N, and it just really looks nice on the skin. So I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'm going to try to dot it on one side of the face and then use the Blendiful, and then on the other side maybe dip into the foundation off the back of my hand and do it that way. So we will see. So I'm gonna pump out a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of just distribute this. I literally have no clue what I'm doing. I think I'm just gonna start there. So I'm gonna use the other corner. So this is where the primer was. I'm gonna use this corner, and then I think I'm gonna use the point for my concealer. So I'm gonna start here. This feels so awkward to me. I don't know why. So I'm using light, I would say stippling and a little bit of dragging. Make sure I get right in that nose crease. So it's moving quickly. I mean, that just blended out pretty quickly, I will say that. Here is what the Blendiful looks like. Looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not seeing any streaking or anything like that. I'm gonna try to dip in. So on my hand, take a little bit and see how that does. Really make sure I'm getting into those crevices. Thank you, Chuck, for being so loud. So I'm seeing a little bit of kind of streakiness on my nose. Noses can be very finicky, so I'm just gonna kind of lightly tap on. That can happen with really just any brush, foundation. So I'm actually gonna fold it a little bit. I actually prefer applying the foundation on the face and then blending it out. I don't know why, I just feel like it was easier. It just spread easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and try not to jack up my eyebrows. Keyword try. And also try not to get my hairline covered in foundation. Again, keyword try. When you're blonde, it just is what it is, although my roots are coming in. So that helps a little bit. So I'm just kind of, I feel like spreading works. You want to spread the product first. This is just my thoughts. Spread it and then stipple to get rid of any, I don't know, I'm not seeing streaking, but just to really like build up coverage. So now that I've got it placed where I want it, I'm just using a stippling motion again, just to make sure that everything is blended evenly. Any areas that I missed, it's just a learning curve. I will say the nose is just a little bit trickier than I'm usually used to. But okay, so this is what it looks like with the foundation. I will say going around my brows and stuff took more time just because I'm not typically used to that. But in terms of using this product, it was quite quick to go over the skin, especially when I dotted it. I do feel like I like this side better, the side that I did dot it, instead of taking kind of like off my hand and then smearing it and trying to distribute the product. But overall, they both look really nice. Of course, I'm gonna have to use powder. We're gonna do all of it concealer and see what we think. My first impression is better than I thought for foundation. It's just different. I thought it was gonna be really awkward to hold. It's really not. Maybe for concealer, I might feel that way. Why did I just do that? I'm like, you guys, this is how you use it. But I feel like you can swipe and then stipple. You can stipple only, you can swipe only, whatever works for you. I don't think there's any rules. You just have to decide what works for you. If you see a streak, you know, just stipple it out. So I'm gonna zoom in next, give you some close-ups so we can see what the skin is looking like, and then we're gonna move on to concealer. I am going to use the tip here that I didn't use. So that's one thing that's nice about how big it is you can use your primer on one side, your foundation, and then your concealer, and then you can move this around, flip it over, and do powder, bronzer, whatever you want to do. So I do like that you can flip this as well. So let's go ahead and zoom in and look at our skin, or our skin, my skin. Okay, so now that we've done foundation, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to concealer. I'm gonna use my Dose of Colors. I enjoy this. This is the least creasy concealer that I've ever tried. It has a good coverage. It's a whipped formula. I do still set it, but I recommend it if you're looking for something that you, like if you struggle with creasing, it's really nice. So I'm gonna just apply kind of a normal amount, I guess. I don't know. I don't have like a set amount. I'm not somebody that does the big triangles, but I also don't just do like a tiny little bit. Kind of like right in the middle here. So I'm gonna try to line that up with my wing. So as I said, I am gonna just use this point right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go in. One thing I am doing with this, just because it's new to me, and I think it's a good rule of thumb for all makeup, a lighter hand is better. And I still, wow. Ooh, that looks good. Wow, okay, sorry. A lighter hand is better. And I see a lot of professionals using a light hand. It's harder to do because usually like if you're in a hurry, you just kind of want to slap it on and go. But a light hand is going to help not disrupt what's underneath. I have to say that really looks nice. Wow. Okay, let's do the other side and then I'll kind of zoom you in. Wow, I like this for under the eyes. I didn't think I don't know, maybe I was skeptical, you know? I'm just a skeptic, I guess. I didn't think that this wouldn't work for concealer or foundation. I just think, you know, I thought it would just work, you know, similar to a beauty blender. There's something a little bit different about it. Of course, there's pros and cons, which I'll go over at the end, but I feel like that looks pretty damn good. So first impression on concealer, I like it as well. I really like it. I think it looks really nice. I think I like it for both. I was gonna say I like it for concealer more than foundation, but I like it for both. I feel like both, I mean, did the job, and I feel like for concealer, it just looks really nice and smooth, and it kept that coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to powder. I'm gonna use this Pound Cake powder from Huda Beauty. I really think this is gonna excel with powder products. So I'm trying to think if I wanna use this side. I think I can because I wanna try the bronzer and stuff on the other side. So I'm gonna use the same tip that I used the concealer on. And I'm actually gonna load this on like a, you know, baking powder. So first I wanna make sure I don't have any creases. I'm telling you, this concealer like barely creases. It's kind of wild. Like really barely creases. Okay, so I'm dipping in to the powder. This is what I have, and I'm gonna keep it rolled like this. And I'm just going to apply it. And I like to pull down. Same thing on this side. And again, pull down where I have all of that texture. Smile lines, pores on the side of my nose. So this works beautifully for that. Wow. I don't want to say I'm shocked, but it's just totally a new, I don't think it's a new concept really, just because there's been powder puffs. Obviously this is a little bit different and a little bit more unique. But I just think people use powder puffs for just powder. So to have something that can do all of this is kind of interesting. So I'm not gonna bake the forehead, but I am gonna set with this. So I'm just gonna kind of stipple it in. And then I'm actually just going to use the entire product because I like to move fast. So I kind of dip it into the powder a little bit. I'm working with this Huda Beauty that I cut the net in. So I just put a little bit of powder on there and then I wiggle it around. I've seen makeup artists do that before. And just kind of pat into the skin, just to get it done quicker. So I am going to take a brush just to wipe this away. The bake. See what we're looking like. We're looking nice and smooth. That powder is very smoothing, but the puff did apply it, I mean, beautifully. So why'd I call it the puff? What do you call it? The Blendiful. Okay. So now I want to go on to bronzer. So I am not a cream bronzer type of chick. Like, it's just not, I don't know, I can do it, but I don't prefer to. So I'm actually gonna use the bronzer from this NARS palette that I've raved about so many times. I mean, there's a dent in here. I probably will hit pan eventually. This is the Summer Lights palette. I'm going to flip the Tati Beauty logo on the other side so that it's, you know, covering the used side. And I'm going to just kind of fold it like this and start to bronze up the skin. So I just dipped it in there. You know, it's gonna be a trial and error on how much you need. So just going to start stippling. For bronzer, I would stipple. That's just kind of the method that I would use. So I'm also gonna start to kind of apply it almost like a contour and then just blend it up. So taking the product like this, kind of setting it down and then blending it up. So now I'm just kind of bronzing all over because I didn't really contour. I'm just using this to kind of sculpt out the face. So next I want to go on to blush. I'm going to use this KKW Beauty Flower Wall blush. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Blendiful, and I'm just going to use kind of an area that I haven't used yet. Just kind of press down. That's the one thing I am noticing. It's a little bit difficult really to know how much you need, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty, I actually like this for blush. You can kind of keep it pretty precise. Kind of build it up. So I actually like that for blush. I feel like it sets really beautifully and you can kind of blend it out, build it up. I'm gonna go in with highlight. This is the Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette. I'm just gonna go into the gold shade that I love. This is one of my most used highlighters. So I'm just gonna bend, again, just a corner that I haven't used, and just dip it in and see. Okay, so definitely kind of dull down this highlighter. Usually with a brush, it's more intense. It definitely looks more skin-like, but I like the intensity of this highlighter, so I don't know if I'm in love with using this for highlight. So I'm actually gonna try a different highlighter just to see if I can get more intensity, just because usually that Dior one is pretty intense. This is Artist Couture Hot Damn. This one is a little bit, I mean, it is intense just like the Dior. This one has glitter in it though. So that's a little bit better, but this is not my favorite to apply highlighter. I can just tell. So I went ahead and finished my makeup. I just did my lipstick and some faux freckles, and I want to get into the washing portion of this. I did want to try to insert a clip of me washing it to see what I think, to see if it rips, to see all of that. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll get into just my final first impression of this product. Okay, so I only have one hand to do this. So I'm using this is the Allure Vegan Brush Cleanse in Maple Fudge. I really like this. So I'm going to go ahead and wet the sponge, and then this is going to be really hard to do, so I'm going to just try to like rub it on here. You don't need a ton of this cleaner, and I'm going to start just working it in. Okay, definitely need more. There we go. I might have to like work in sections here because I don't have, well, Ian's not home to help me. So I'm just gonna kind of work in sections here. Okay, so here is it washed. You can see I have some that I couldn't get out. Mostly just the foundation right there. I mean, I washed it pretty, you know, intensely. all the powders came out on the other side. I'm not too concerned about that because I have beauty blenders that do that as well, like foundation will stain. So in my opinion, it's nice and clean, and it, you know, it took a little bit longer than a beauty blender to clean, but nothing that alarmed me, and it almost feels dry immediately. I mean, it's not dry, but I could see within 30 minutes it being dry and ready to use again. So now that I use the Blendiful for all different types of application, I'm going to tell you my first impression. Starting off with the price. I think it is a good price. You do get 2 sponges for $18. Now granted, one is small and it fits in your purse. It's more of a touch-up. Of course, I haven't tried that yet because I just applied my makeup. I do feel like it's just kind of a very typical powder puff formula or formula feel. I mean, it's a little bit kind of stiffer than the other powder puffs I have, but I feel like nonetheless, it's basically going to do the same thing. It's just going to mattify, and it's small enough to keep in your purse. This is really what you're paying for, in my opinion. So I don't think $18 is a bad price, especially when you get 2, even though this is like the star of the show. So moving on to application. I like this most for foundation, concealer, and blush. So those are the things that really stood out to me, probably more so foundation and concealer. Priming, I'm still going to use my fingers. I just feel like it gets the job done. I don't have to kind of find a different area on this. Foundation, this was quick. The pro is that you don't have to wet it. The con is that you have to wash it just kind of like a beauty blender. I do wash my stuff in between each use. I don't reuse stuff I did in the past, and I don't anymore. So for me, I would have to wash this, but it is quick drying, which Tati said. So I think that the pro is that if you have it already like there, you don't have to wet it. And for the lazy bitches like me, you're like, hell yeah, you can just go in. It's quite large. You can do a lot of surface area quickly, which I like. Might be a little bit trickier to get around your brows and whatnot, but again, I typically do my foundation first. I feel like it keeps a good coverage. I feel like it almost dried down stuff a little bit more. I don't know. It didn't look as dewy or hydrating as like a beauty blender does, but typically that's wet. So that could be it. Could be the same if you use a beauty blender dry. You might get a similar finish, but I just felt like when I applied my liquids, they almost blended out to liquid to powder. They didn't completely, but I don't know if that makes sense. It does kind of give you that, I don't know, it's just not as dewy or radiant as when you use a wet beauty blender. Now, of course, I used a matte foundation and a matte concealer, so we'll try different techniques, but it's not something that I didn't like. I just wanted to know. For concealer, I did really like it. I thought it was gonna be awkward in my hand because it's quite big, but it wasn't. It's very bendable, so I just kind of went right in. I really liked this. Also liked it for powder. I'm not sure if I said that. For bronzer, I don't think so. Now, probably more so for cream bronzer. I can try that again. I'm gonna do trying new makeup videos coming up, so I'll just use this again and we'll just keep playing with it. For me, I'm just gonna use a brush for my dry or my powder bronzers. It's just kind of what I'm gonna do. I liked it for blush, but again, I'll probably still use brushes. But for baking, absolutely. So foundation, concealer, baking are like the standouts. For me, highlighter, it made the highlighter just not as intense, more subtle. Now, I don't know if it's the way I applied it, but those are typically pretty intense highlights, so I don't love it for highlighter as well. So I think it's all gonna be personal preference. I do think it's easier and more comfortable to use than I had anticipated. I like that you have this side and then you have this side, and that you can move the little, you know, logo thing. I don't really even think the logo ribbon is necessary, just because, I don't know, you know, you could hold it like this, but for me, I just kind of held it. So I don't think that I'll really utilize that. It really is not something that makes a difference to me, because I like that you can use both sides regardless, and you just have to keep flipping this back and forth. So I think you can do a full face with this, absolutely, you know, aside from eyes and brows and stuff. I think if you're in a pinch and you have this, it's really nice. If you don't want to pack a bunch of brushes, could be a good option just to bring with you on a trip, because you could literally get, you know, your whole face done with this. So overall, I am pleasantly surprised. Of course, I'm gonna have to see when I wash it multiple times, if it keeps, you know, performing for me. Of course, we'll keep using it. Do I think that it's so much better than a beauty blender? No, it's just a different way to apply your products. I do think it's quite functional, and it's just as functional as a beauty blender. So if you wanna make the investment and try it out, I think that you would be happy with it. I feel like there is a learning curve and everybody's different. So you might enjoy the way it applies highlighter. You might really like it with cream bronzer bronzer or whatever it may be. So I think that it's a functional product, and I'm happy to say that I'm happy to have it. I'm excited to use it again. It's not something that I'm like, that's gimmicky and I won't use it. I am excited to use it again. So those are my thoughts. Of course, I'll have to update when I use the little baby. Later in the day today, if I do get oily, I will test this out and of course leave a pinned comment. But congratulations to Tati. I did buy this myself, so just want to put that out there. But I would buy another one and I would continue to try them. So the things I'm going to look out for is how it washes, how it dries, and also hopefully it doesn't rip. I've heard some people say that theirs ripped. You know, mine doesn't look like it's going to rip anytime soon, but I'm also not kind of pulling this heavy and I'm being a little bit more careful. Of course, when I wash it, we will see. First impression is pretty good. So I will link this down below if you guys want to check it out. It's not sold out yet. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe. I hope that you guys got some good insight. I don't use filters on my videos. I do zoom in quite close. I want you to see the texture and I want you to see, because really, I want to see, is this different? Is this game changing? And I want to see what you guys think down below. So let me know down below what you think of the close-ups, of the application, of everything. If you have this, let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.